Mr. Osman Sulaiman. He is 38 and he is a human resources executive. Mr. Sulaiman.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Wow, just now fiery speech from Mr. Jufri. Yeah? Mine will be more toned down because we need to cool down, like, you know, like exercise. So we need to cool down now. I will touch more on academic matter. Okay, so this population white paper, what is it all about, and how the government justify getting this policy done. One of the things is that they said we need the growth and we also need the population number. Okay, it is widely known that growth can generate virtuous circles of prosperity and opportunity. Strong economic growth also advances human development and in turn promotes economic growth. A successful strategy for growth to benefit the people must have at its core measures to promote rapid and sustained economic growth. The challenge is to combine growth promoting policies with policies that allow the poor to participate fully in the opportunities unleashed and so contribute to that growth. These include policies to make labor market work better, remove gender inequality, and increase financial inclusion. But under different conditions, growth can have very different effect on poverty, the employment prospect of the poor, and broader indicators of human development. The extent to which growth increases the people's well-being depends on the degree to which we get to participate in the growth process and share in its proceeds. Thus, both the pace and pattern of growth matter to benefit the people. They cannot just say, because we want growth, they have to have some kinds of policy to take care of the people's need. If they come in and bring all the immigration, bring in and put us like a tin sardine, and what happened to our well-being? What happened to our own people? Under different conditions, the relationship between growth and employment is not simply about the quantity of jobs it created, but it is also the types of jobs created. Take for example, the construction industry, the process maintenance industry, and the marine industry. The ratio of these companies to employ foreign workers for the construction industry is 1:7. So when they say they create growth, they create jobs for us. What kind of jobs do they create for us?
Thank you very much.
If it is in the construction industry, one full-time employee and they are allowed to employ 7 foreigners. So in the end, who benefit more from this kind of policies? Therefore, we need to promote growth through innovation, not just by pumping in our population numbers, not just injecting the country with numbers. It is crucial that we pursue national policies that promote innovation to ensure that there will be enough prosperity to carry on to the next generation. The impact on economic growth depends highly on the inequalities that are prevailing in an economy. Policies will have an effect on how economic growth is shared between different groups in the society. For example, through minimum wage and redistribution. What are important are the institutions that govern society. But ultimately, the biggest determinants of growth in a country will be its leadership, will be its policies and institutions. Obviously, there are countries that have become rich, but in which most of the population have not shared in the increased wealth or income. Every one of those countries is characterized by bad government, controlled by a few at the expense of many. Growth made nobody poorer. We know about that. But rather, it makes only a subset of the society, of the population, richer. So how this government is going to implement policy to benefit the people, the masses, depends on who we choose in the next general election. We don't believe in fear-mongering that implementing minimum wage will drive jobs away. I can pull out many surveys, many statistics to actually show that implementing minimum wage actually increase our economic growth, rising profit from GDP growth. How? By increasing demand and putting money in the hands of people likely to spend it. Not enough of the excess profit from labor is returning to labor, and way too much is accruing to capital. So unless there is more equitable distribution of excess profit from labor, the inequality in Singapore will continue to widen. When we talk about unemployment benefit, the government quickly shoot down this idea, saying that when we give unemployment benefit, people will get lazy. But all over the world, like Brazil, Germany, Britain, Australia, Korea, Japan, Italy, Denmark, etc., each of these countries have unemployment benefit. Do the people get lazy? Do these Koreans, do these Brazilians, do these Germans get lazy? No. You see, the unemployed are more likely to put that additional money per month to pay for essential like mortgage, rent, food, utilities, etc. That would increase what economists call aggregate demand. And anything that increases demand increases GDP growth. So it is bullshit that if we give welfare, if we give money to our people, we will become bankrupt. They are bankrupt. But of course, we don't want a social safety net that encourages people to stay in it. But there are ways to overcome it. I am sure a lot of our policymakers are smart enough to overcome this problem. On top of crowding our nation with 6.9 million, what the government has done is to hype up the beautiful picture of how this society will work without telling us what is the drawback. One of the drawbacks we can know, even as recently as now, is the language problem. What kind of people they put in. In Australia, for example, those who want to come or work, they are ensured they have to take an English course. They have a few more criteria for them to meet before they are considered to be a PR or an Australian citizen. But at this current moment, what we can see is that people who can speak our language, which is English, the lingua franca of Singapore, we have people serving in the front line. And how are we supposed to communicate with these people? Is this the right employment policies we want? On top of this, please remember that Singaporeans are displaced by the very people they say that is contributing to the economy. Of course, we also have pressure on housing and services. What is currently, I think, is an artificial demand on our housing policies. That is why our cost of HDB flats is skyrocketing. It is an artificial demand by importing people to come and stay. And when recession comes, we will make to bear more than we should. And crimes lately are reported to be on the rise. Social cohesion, what will happen during 6.9 million when we achieve 6.9 million? Depression of wages. We have seen 10 years ago, the cleaners earned $1,000. Today, the cleaners is still earning $1,000. And they say GDP growth is helping the poor. And then we can see from the policies that the government implement. The alternative have always proposed to remove GST on basic necessities like rice, milk, powder, food. But in fact, what the government did was not to help the poor by removing the GST on basic necessities. What they did was they removed GST for buying gold, silver and platinum. Who buy these products? The rich or the poor? Investment on precious metal in the form of bar, gold ingots, wafer and coins are also exempted from GST. Does it make sense that rich people, they exempt from this GST and they charge GST for basic necessity where people have to sustain? And how about top tier income tax and corporate tax? Who removed this? Who lessened this? Who lowered this? None other than our government. So if they think they want to pump our population to 6.9 million, they better get their facts or act right. Because I'm not going to stay here, cramp my mind with all this stress, and we are having the highest number of suicide rates. And what happened during 6.9 million, where every of our communal space is being filled by people. And as of now, our shopping center, when we go every weekend, I don't feel like going shopping. I don't feel like going to park my car. There's always a long queue, and just imagine this is 5.5 million. We are going to inject another 2 million people into Singapore. And I tell you, this government has no respect for its people. For 6.9 million population white paper, they did not consult the people. They did not do any national referendum to ask what we think about it. In fact, they passed through parliament by party whip. I cannot respect this government because they don't respect me. And how many can Singapore take in? 7 million? 10 million? So now at this current moment, they say 6.9 million. So after 6.9 million, how are they going to justify saying that we need more economic growth? Are they going to pump in more people in? So there has to be a line drawn. But most importantly, they have to take care of us first. Because with the injection of foreigners, a lot of our quality of living has gone down. We can feel it ourselves. Of course, these ministers don't feel it. They are in their cars. They are in their aircon offices. They go to high-class restaurants. While we queue for all these hawker stalls. And when more people come, how long do we want to queue? Ultimately, everyone will share a same communal space. If I want to go to Orchard, people also want to go to Orchard. Unless they make Tuas another Orchard. Unless they make Changi another Orchard. But additional 2.2 million plus of people will not do the country good. There are ways to increase growth. There are other ways to increase our fertility rate. But this government is taking the easy way out. It is the very easiest, most simple way to increase our GDP. Pump, pump. Pump and then we get. And then what do they get? At most they lose their power and then after that they migrate. And we are here to suffer. So before, I think they shouldn't be passing laws without proper deliberation. And all those ministers whom you voted for, the PAP ministers whom you voted for, was silenced by the party whip. Nobody actually voted against the population white paper. And they call themselves representing you. So it depends on how we see the current situation. Of course, I have facts and figures and surveys to actually, support. But figures, statistics, all this can be manipulated. What the government is doing with the population white paper, 6.9 million, is exactly that. They put in all this sweet inside the brochure, telling people how they will increase national, how they will take care of Singaporeans. What taking care of Singaporeans? On top of that, their record level. Previously, many people many of the pioneer generation might have respected Mr. Lee Kuan Yew for bringing his country, but people don't know what atrocities he had done, how he managed to you see now gone already. To how he managed to actually capture all his political opponents. and put them in jail. How many families' lives are gone just like that? And the long-standing effect of his national policy stop at 2 is now being, we are now suffering from the consequences of it. Because there's no planning, because due to his idea, a population of 3 or 4 million is fine. And now his son is coming to bring in 7 million is fine. After 7 million, what more? I don't want a country whereby I have to stay inside a chicken coop to call a home. No, this is not going to happen. So it is our duty to inform our child, to inform our relative, how we can make a fruitful change to the political environment in Singapore. So I end my speech here. I hope together we, the people, will rule the country, not a certain few elites. Thank you very much.